was encouraged and pleased by some of the improvement I saw on our team at the last game against Central Florida, especially special team relays. I thought that was the critical improved area in the game, with not only the way we punted the ball, the way we returned the football with the fake punt and our coverage units. So I think that really helped us in a game that was closely contested. The defense played solid again, and with the offense making some improvement. Another difficult test coming in. Great game in terms of an in-state rivalry. I have a lot of respect for Coach Anderson. I love the way he's coaching his team, and I think they're making progress. And so we're looking forward to it on Friday night. So I'll take whatever questions anyone has.
Coach, do you have an update for us with Ross Oppa?
I don't yet. In fact, I haven't checked the injury report, and I didn't check it over the weekend as well, so I'm sorry about that. I don't have it.
And in reviewing the game, do you still feel that Jake was as accurate as you first thought?
I like the way he played. There's still some things we can improve. And he can certainly improve in terms of third down and accuracy there, but I thought he stepped forward in terms of managing the game, and I like the way he threw it.
Have you had a chance to see how the Utah State game ended on Saturday night?
Just finished watching it. What a heartbreaker. And I thought Utah State played really hard and controlled the game. And a few turnovers, I think, really cost them the football game, but they were more physical. They were the more physical team of the night. I think controlled the tempo most of the night, and just a tough loss.
And how do you go about preparing for Robert Turbin and his running?
I think he's a great running back. In fact, I was just telling our offensive staff I would love to coach him. He plays hard, he plays physical, he runs with power, doesn't back down, and he's fun to watch. I really think he's a good player.
I'm guessing then you saw how Utah State ended that game, going to, as a head coach, probably a tough call. Is that more philosophy or feel in your mind?
More the second, with trying to help your team develop a mindset, but a huge win and a chance when they had played so well the whole game. I really thought we're in control of the game. I think Coach Anderson, not to speak for him, probably felt, and there's no way that with our running game that they'll be able to keep us out. So.
And going back to last year, your team probably wasn't happy with the way it played in Logan. How much does that get conjured up, maybe not among coaches, but among players a year later as a motivational factor?
Hard to say. So many changes, and it was a pivotal point in the program for some of the changes I did make, but man, almost seems like 5 years ago rather than 1 year ago. So I'm not sure. The players might have a different perspective on that, but I don't. That seems like a long time ago and not as relevant.
Since you haven't heard on Ross, I'm assuming you haven't heard on Houston Reynolds or Jordan Pendleton.
I haven't heard on either of them as well. What I was told a week ago was that Jordan most likely would play this week if we could hold him out of Saturday's game. So I don't think that will have changed, and I don't have any more information on Houston.
The offensive line was said to be supposed to be a strength of the team this year, maybe one of the better ones in school history. Can you assess why they haven't been as dominant, maybe as most folks expected, and whether that changed?
I think they're doing a really nice job at pass protection. What we're not doing as well is knocking opposing fronts off the ball and then running for power. And so the combination of either running backs having to run for more power and or offensive linemen coming out and blocking to create more push is something that we really have focused on. We simplified the run game last week. I think we saw signs of that improving. It's going to have to keep doing that. And so, again, in relation to the question of offensive line, it's comfortable in how we're protecting. I would now like to see the physical component of the run game to really take some more traction in what we've had.
And then you mentioned in the postgame comments that you were having trouble with the safety play was a concern. Is there any chance of personnel changes there, or
not yet? No, the personnel is I'm comfortable with. And the trustworthy nature of the personnel really has a lot to do with who plays, and that's determined in practice. We've seen all along, even from the beginning of our first game to now, that again, with their eye control and with just their concentration level, that has to keep improving. Right now, 1 or 2 plays a game is are manifesting where they're not quite looking in the right place at pretty critical times, and so that has to continue to get better.
And then Joe Sampson, is he locked in as a cornerback, or could he play safety?
He's a corner at this point. We really like the combination of both Preston and Joe, and they're both have plenty of work on just to play that one spot. To think about adding another task to either one of them, not right. At the safety spot, the players that are close to playing, Mike Haig has been very close to play, but Travis has just been so consistent that's hard to make a move there. And Carter Mees and Dre Naliai are also close behind Daniel Sorensen, as well as Jordan Johnson with Corby Eason. So we have a group of players that are all very, very close to getting more time. But again, you can only train so many, and train only so many effectively.
Coach, how do you view this rivalry with Utah State? How would we're ranking your?
I like it. I think it's just, again, I'm for the in-state trio of BYU, Utah State playing each other every year. I think it's the idea historically of the Beehive Food and that having something of meaning and value is something that I'd like to promote.
After watching the film on Saturday with the team, do you feel this team is back on track?
I would say we're making progress. We're certainly not playing to our potential yet, which is the goal, and my goal as the coach. It's fun to see him win. It's fun to see him smile. It's fun to see him celebrate. It's fun to see him make enough plays to accomplish that against what I thought was a pretty good team in Central Florida. I think many thought it was a good team.
Last year your team lost in Logan. Do you think that your team will have any sort of bit of extra motivation because of that loss last year?
No, I'm not certain. Again, as I answered earlier, so long ago, and so many things happened after that game in terms of how the team was changed and restructured and mindset in general. It almost seems like a different team, a different time, and maybe not as relevant. We know we think Utah State is a good football team, and I like what I've seen on film, so it'll be a good game.
Coach, can you talk about the play of the tight ends at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think maybe a little more consistent than what I thought they would be. I think they're catching the ball at a higher level. There have been some drops, but I think they're catching the ball at a higher level. I think they're playing with more confidence. Austin Holt is probably farther along than I ever thought he would be, not only blocking, but just in the way he's carrying himself and his presence, and I've been very impressed. And then I think now others are starting to emerge as complementary tight ends to him as kind of the all-purpose. Roles are starting to be defined a little bit more.
And what have you seen from Utah State's quarterback?
He's really athletic, and for being as young as he is able to create very similar to UCF's quarterback from last week, except just in a different body type. Really tall, fast. Throws it well, and so he has the ability to create. And then Dave Baldwin is a very good offensive coordinator and uses him in a lot of diverse ways. So a couple really good running backs, a mobile quarterback, multiple formations. It's a fun offense to watch, and I think he's recruited, and they've recruited the type of athletes to give them a chance to be very competitive, which they are so far this year. They've lost a couple really close games, but they're really competing well.
What is it that Coach Anderson has done to elevate that program?
I think probably his mindset. I think he's an energetic coach with a lot of a good football knowledge and past history of success. I think the players would like him, and he has a good relationship with them, and he's brought in good coaches around him to help him, which we all know, and he and I have talked many times, who you surround yourself with is critical. And so I think he's done a nice job with that. And while the program at their point hasn't shown enough wins to say they've turned the corner, when you watch them play, you can clearly see they're getting close and being very competitive.
There was a remarkable difference in the special teams play from the Utah game to this past game. Was there a lot of special emphasis in this past week in getting them back in shape, or was it just, did you consider the Utah game to be an outlier and just continue practice for them as usual?
More of like a tipping point of just you work, and then at one point the work accumulates to enough point and then it shows, and that was essential in that game. Anything else?
You haven't updated us on the voting. How's that going?
Oh, you're talking about for the top 25. It's kind of an acquired taste. So our process, and Brett, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Brett Pine sends me the email Saturday night at whatever time that is, 9 or 10, and sometimes there's still games going. It has to be in by Sunday morning at 9. So I wake up Sunday morning, and before I prepare my primary lesson, and I'm working on my voting for, and basically what we do is I just take the existing rankings from what they were, look at who lost and who didn't, and then just kind of move them up. And I think I'm voting fairly, but there might be more coaches that are more into the statistical parts and maybe spending more hours than I am. But I think I'm having to follow college football more closely than I have normally.
Is it a one-year deal, or would you like to?
Well, it's I'll make myself available anytime they want, and it's a learning experience. It's just kind of one more thing to do.
Anything else?
A lot of players on Utah State wanted to go to either Utah or BYU, didn't have the opportunity. Maybe talk to the level of motivation that might create for them to try and beat BYU.
I think Utah State will want to beat us just like they wanted to beat Auburn, just like they wanted to beat Colorado State, just like they wanted to beat Weber State. Can there be with a handful of players where they feel slighted because I didn't take them, or we didn't think they were good enough, or didn't have a spot? Certainly that can happen, but not enough for that to be a storyline of now that is the war cry that, because we're mad at it, we really didn't play well.
You talked last week about the soul searching that kind of went on after the Utah game. What are you expecting from your team coming off a victory to continue that same type of improvement?
I would hope just that, the same type of improvement. There's still multiple jumps we can still make with this team they're going to have to make, and I would just hope the consistency in practice shows that. That's what I'm after, is the consistency of practice, of our execution, to help us take another step forward, which is necessary. Okay, thanks a lot.